This is the Put It in the Game podcast. This is the Put It in the Game podcast.
Yes. Welcome in, everyone, to the one and only Put It in the Air podcast. I'm your host, Brendan Casello, a.k.a. East Coast Virus.
And I am Pascal Rose Philippe, better known as Pumpkin Drublick.
Pumpkin Drublick. Excellent. So this is our podcast. You guys know us pretty well. We're going to go through...
I hope you do.
Yeah, and if you don't, you should give us a call or a FaceTime or something.
555-555-5555.
I can't remember that number now.
Damn it.
So we're going to talk about fantasy football with a keen focus on our league, Put It in the Air. Hence the name Put It in the Air podcast. And we are going to get into the nitty gritty with all you guys. I hope you enjoy it and have some laughs along the way.
Yeah, in other words, we're here to talk shit about your crappy trades. But we're going to do the best we can. And if you don't like it, then go fuck yourself and leave a comment. But you better subscribe because we know all of you and where you live.
And hopefully this podcast will help you make some trades, because this league is like the most freaking cobweb-filled trade section I've ever seen.
Yeah, there were so few trades that Brendan thought I made 2 trades last year. I made 1.
Which is uncalled for.
Hey, I don't know.
I think
I'd be okay with that.
I think we have like the average of less than 2 trades a year in the entire league, which is just unacceptable, guys.
Yeah,
Come on.
It's pretty pathetic considering half of us are out of the playoffs at like week 9. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Hopefully with keepers, it will give you more of a reason to make trades, but we'll see. We'll see how the season plays out.
Yes, we will, and it's coming up on us quick. We only have about, 10 days or less till the season begins. Freaking awesome.
The draft is in a week and 2 days, and then Thursday after that, it's go time.
And then Friday we get a game in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I think it's the Eagles-Packers, which should be a good game. Go Packers.
I mean, as long as none of them get killed, because apparently the NFL is telling them, don't walk around with your cell phones out. Don't walk around with jewelry. I mean, kind of just don't walk around.
That's kind of what everybody told me before I went on my honeymoon with my lady a few weeks ago. We went to Mexico, and everybody's saying, oh, don't leave the resort. Don't do this. Oh, it's hurricane season. There's going to be crazy storms. We had a bunch of sunshine, fun-filled, all kinds of action in and out of the resort.
And no one robbed you?
We didn't get robbed. Salespeople robbed us. But,
okay.
We ended up on top.
To be expected.
So, yeah.
All right. So Put It in the Air, our league. In our league, Put It in the Air.
Put it at the air.
There you go. We have been running this for 12, 15 years now?
Let me check the data. So our oldest activity comes from 2012. However, Billy Duncan, kind of a shout out, but more like a shout down. Billy lost the password for the first couple seasons, and apparently Jay Ritberg is certain that he won one of those years. But sorry, Jay, it's not in the data.
I believe you, Ritberg. I believe you. You're my boy.
I believe in you, but I don't believe you about actually winning.
I don't believe in you, actually.
But, all right. Well, at least if you put us together, at least you got good friends.
Well, one good friend.
One good friend out of 2 guys. Whatever, man. Just hang out. I'll be your left. He'll be your right.
All right. I'm down.
Cool.
And that's the podcast.
That finalizes the segment about Jay Ritberg's friendships. We love you, Jay. All right, so we are gonna get down and dirty into it. We got a lot of stuff to cover. All over the place with it. We actually did some research and some preparing, so hopefully it translates to voice on tape.
Yeah, we'll see. There is no tape, so we're already falling short.
Shit.
But what we're doing here is, especially with this episode, we want to help everyone out because obviously we're starting our first year doing keepers. And it seems like a lot of people are having trouble with it. They're not really sure who to pick. They're not really sure how it works. So we want to run through everything and make sure that everyone's on an even playing field. I hope you listen to this because we're not going to do it again next year. So if you fuck up, you fuck up, and that's on you, folks.
AKA, we're going to give you some deep depth information on who you should keep after we tell everyone who you're thinking of keeping. So it ain't no secret. But let us help you understand it all as we also go through player values, draft strategies, current news, and a little bit of comedic hilarity. So
very, very little.
Very little, yeah. I don't even know if that's an actual term. Comedic hilarity. Is that like an oxymoron except it means the same thing twice?
No, I think it's more of a redundancy, but
yeah, that's probably what it is. Longfellow probably already said that because I know he's sitting here listening to this super blazed, analyzing every single syllable.
Are you saying he put it in the air before he listened to this?
He before, during, and after. What up, Long?
I believe it. All right, so let's get back to it. The most important thing about our league this year is what I said, the adding of the keeper rules. So I'm going to run through it really quickly so that everyone's on the same page and no one can claim that they didn't know how it worked. So the first part is selecting your keepers. The decision on which players to keep can be based on a bunch of factors like the player's performance, age, and potential future value.
Or your personal love for them, of course.
Right. But probably only Longfellow is going to do that, so we shouldn't make the podcast just for him.
Well, let's not forget Scott and Babalu because they love Travis Kelce and Derrick Henry, but they can't keep them. We'll tell you why.
Sorry, guys.
Shit.
All right. So there are whatever factors you want to put into it to select which guys you're going to keep, but you have to keep in mind that in our league we have assigned a draft pick penalty based on where the player was selected in the previous year's draft. For example, if you want to keep a player that you drafted in the 5th round last year, you're going to have to give up your 4th round pick in this year's draft to keep him. If he was drafted after the 10th round or was picked up on waivers, he will cost you a 10th round pick this year. If you have 2 keepers that are like that, then it will be your 10th and your 9th round picks. Okay? Now, there can be some restrictions, like how many years you can keep a particular player or how many players in total can be kept, but we haven't decided on that yet, and that's something that we're going to address next offseason. Many leagues only allow players to be kept twice, so a team can only keep the same guy for 3 seasons, and that allows for the good players to return to the draft pool. So, for example, if Sean, which I fully expect he will do, keeps Puka Nacua this year, he's going to keep him for a 10th round pick because he picked him up on waivers. If he wants to keep him again next year, then that's going to be for a 9th round pick.
Just think of it like a -1 rule. Every year you want to keep someone -1 until we give you guys the cutoff or vote on it, however we're going to figure that out.
Right. But if we institute a 3-season cap on keeping players, then after next year, he won't be able to keep Puka anymore.
But he could draft him, so don't worry, Sean. If you really love Puka, you'll get him where you need to.
Well, maybe. It depends on how high Puka's going at that point. But that's
true.
Kind of the purpose for this, is that we don't want people to be able to keep a 1st-round pick for a decade and pay a 10th, then a 9th, then an 8th, then a 7th. It just isn't the type of parity that makes our league fun. And so we'll talk about that next year, but just keep stuff like that in mind when we're dealing with our strategies coming into the draft. So after all the keepers are declared, the draft for the upcoming season is held. The draft pool consists of all the players not kept by any team, as well as any new rookies or free agents. The draft order is going to be random this year, like we do every year. However, whatever round is attributed to the keepers that you kept, you will not have a pick in that round. So, if you are keeping Puka at a 10th round pick, you will have picks from rounds 1 through 9, but in round 10, you will be skipped.
Because you have Puka, which is awesome for a 10th round pick.
That is your 10th round pick. But don't expect for you to be picking at that point because you already have your guy. Now, for a long-term strategy, there is a lot that goes into it, and we're not going to really go in depth on it. But just make sure to weigh the value of short-term production against potential future benefits of keeping a player. So let's say, for instance, maybe you had like Steph Diggs and Tank Dell, and you think that they're going to put up about equal numbers this year. It might make more sense for you to go with Tank Dell because he has more upside in 2 years than Steph does.
And you probably drafted Tank Dell last year or picked him up on waivers or free agent after the value of Stephon Diggs,
Right.
so you'll get the same value for him.
But if we're assuming all is equal, age alone is a good enough reason to pick one guy over another.
And another little point for the draft this year and years to come, it's a really good idea to draft good potential future rookies later in the draft because guess what?
It means good rookies with future potential.
Yeah, yes, that's what I mean. But just that word smorgasbord. But anyways, you pick a good couple good rookies towards the end of the draft. Guess what? That could be your keeper next year for a 10th round pick. If they explode, boom! Just like Puka, just like Kyron, just like
Devon
Jahmyr Gibbs, A-Chain. Yeah.
Well, not really Jahmyr Gibbs.
Oh yeah,
because
Jahmyr.
he was already a 3rd round pick anyway.
That's true. He was a good
But-
or 4th round, but
No,
he's
he's
going to
third.
cost a 3rd. I think. Oh, he was 3rd.
He's
Going to cost a second.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Interesting.
Interesting.
But exactly. So if you can get a rookie who's not Bijan Robinson, who's not one of these top picks, and they end up blowing up like A-Chain, like Nakua, then you end up with one of the top players in the league at a really low cost.
Exactly. Like Marvin Harrison this year is probably going to go at the end of the 1st or somewhere in the 2nd. He's not going to be a good keeper choice for future reference. You know what I mean?
So let's get into some of the keeper strategies that you can use when picking your keepers and when drafting this year. So you want to evaluate the player value versus the draft cost. That's basically what we were talking about. So consider the round that you would need to give up to keep a player. If you can keep a top tier player for a mid-round pick, it's usually a good deal. And then compare the player's current average draft position, the ADP, to where you would need to keep them. So you're looking for someone that has a really high average draft position, but has a really low round penalty for you. And so the scenario that we're going to be using today, for the most part, is going to be Puka Nacua, because he's by far the best value in keepers this year. Sean is going to get him for a 10th round pick, and he's going in the 1st round in some drafts. So that is 9 rounds of value. You cannot get more value than that. So you really want to be looking at that ratio of ADP to round penalty.
Yeah, you want to gain value, and there's some cases where you would lose value if you kept somebody that was drafted high last year. For example, Stephon Diggs. He's definitely going to be drafted way lower this year, so it would be very silly for you to keep Stephon Diggs because you're going to lose value, and then it's better off just not to keep him at all or keep anyone at all.
Right. If you're giving up a 2nd round for Steph, but no one's taking him in the 2nd,
or the 3rd,
or the 3rd, or the 4th,
or the 5th.
That's a
he's-
waste.
He's going late.
you wasted your 2nd round pick.
Yeah.
All right. So you also want to consider long-term potential. So youth and upside. Prioritize younger players with potential for long-term production. 2nd-year breakouts. Consider keeping players who showed flashes of potential in their rookie year. You really want to be projecting what people are going to do, or getting lucky off of getting them early last year and them expected to do really well this year.
Yeah. And just to let you know, this is a little bit different than it's like Dynasty Light. Dynasty is where you keep your whole team, and it's a much more in depth. We're not going to get into Dynasty, but this is like a like baby step to Dynasty.
Yeah, so the funny thing is that keepers and Dynasty are pretty much the same thing, except that Dynasty is just a keeper league where you keep everyone on your team, and then you only draft rookies.
Exactly, and you have one initial draft, which is so damn important in comparison to having a draft every year. So,
Right.
maybe down the line, I think we'd have to restart if we were going to do Dynasty, I think.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll get to that.
Save
get to
it
that
for
when we
later.
get there. Yeah. All right. So you also want to look at positional scarcity. So elite tight ends. There's not enough tight ends. And elite quarterbacks. If you have an elite tight end or an elite quarterback, especially someone that you got in a later round, they're probably worth keeping because tight ends go quickly. And so if you can lock down those two positions, then you don't have to worry about them in the draft anymore. You should also look at running backs with volume. So workhorse running backs who also have PPR value. That's the type of people that you want to keep. They're hard to replace and they're hard to find. So you really want to look at the youth, the positional scarcity, and then think about how we draft in our league, like what positions tend to go faster than others. After that, you want to look at injury concerns and risk management. So try to stay away from injury-prone players, but also there might be someone that is high risk but high reward. Now, I wouldn't want to keep Gabe Davis, but he's one of those high risk, high reward guys. Someone that maybe didn't do so great last year because of a bad quarterback situation or bad coaching situation, who could have a turnaround this year.
Or someone who doesn't know how to act off the field, like Rashee Rice or Jordan Addison. You might want to definitely weigh those risks as well. Right, Pascal?
Yes, that's right.
Pascal's keeping Rice, so that's why.
We'll see.
We'll see.
All right. And then obviously like the specific rules and scoring of our league. So PPR, that has to be taken into account. And then assessing the competition, what other people want to keep. You got to consider which players your competitors are trying to keep, what players they're going to try to be focusing on in the draft. And if you can keep some of those away from someone else, then you have an advantage in that. And after that, really what you're looking for is future draft position. So if keeping a player is going to impact your draft position, you got to consider that. Like if you're gaining one round of value, right? If their ADP is in the 9th round and you're keeping them for a 10th, that might not be worth it. Like the guy might drop anyway, unless you really like them and you think that maybe they're going to go high, they're going to be worth more than a 9th round player.
You need to also realize ADP is a collection of draft positions that people usually draft the person. And if you really feel strongly about somebody's potential and it's way above ADP, then go with your gut too. You don't want to always just focus on what everybody else is saying. You know what I mean?
And then also think about trade potential. Even if there's a player that you don't think is going to be a long-term part of your team, maybe it's someone that someone else is really going to want, and maybe you can trade them for someone that you want more.
Or need.
This also becomes really important as we get into the season and even get closer to the playoffs. If you're a playoff team who has a player on IR that you're not going to be able to use in the playoffs, you could potentially trade them to a non-playoff team who will get value off of keeping them in the next year's draft. So as we're drafting, as we're going through the season, try to keep all these strategies in mind, because it's where in past years we would just drop someone on IR. It might not be that good of an idea this year.
Use your reserve spot, in other words.
Or even just, if you already have two people in your reserve spots, maybe just keep them on your bench. You know, like you're going to have to prioritize these decisions more than we did in the past.
I did that with Jackson Smith and Jigba last year. He was on my bench the entire year, thinking that maybe he'll pop at one point this season. And he may very well pop this season, but he just didn't do it for me. So I kept him on my bench for no reason. But, you know, there was a reason. It just didn't pan out. Maybe it will.
Yeah, he's actually been getting a lot of good press out of Seahawks camp. Apparently he's looking like the new alpha in that room, which says a lot considering they've got DK and Tyler Lockett.
There's no way he's the alpha in that room because DK is a man. That dude's a beast.
Yeah,
there's little skinny Jackson Smith and Jigba is not alpha.
When he was at Ohio State, Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave said that he was the most athletic out of the three of them and the best receiver. So
he definitely came into the league with a lot to prove, and so far he hasn't, but it's only because he's been on a loaded roster.
Yeah, we'll see.
So that just to give you guys an idea, that was a segment called Game Plan, which we didn't get the sound bits for everything yet. So keep in the future, Game Plan just basically going to be fantasy education for you guys. We're going to focus on something every week.
Damn, I forgot. It's the
Game Plan, which is much better when we both do it. But yeah, this week's game plan is just a deep dive into the keeper rules of our league specifically, and I think Pascal nailed it. So thank you, Pascal. Little round of applause.
I'll pat myself on the shoulder. Thank you to ChatGPT.
And then we're gonna go into our next segment, but right before that, I want to just give you guys a little brief league history. We kind of jumped over this part real quick, just to give you guys an idea of, who's the hot shit, who's just shit. How
is hot shit a good thing? I really don't get it.
Well,
like
in the midst of winter, if you have no heat,
at
least your butt will be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Sleep in the outhouse.
Hot shit. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I guess it's better than taking a cold shit.
Yeah, I don't think a cold shit is healthy. I think that's probably more concerning. That's probably why. It just means you're healthy. Okay. So Billy's the healthiest because Billy's got 3 chips. Dollar Bills Destroyers won 3 seasons, 2014, 19, and 23, defeating some pretty heavy teams. I won't go too in depth. I did a lot of research. Thanks to Colin for some of this as well. We've got 3 teams that have 2 victories, 2 championships each. Yours truly, myself, 2012 and 2018. Colin won in 2013 and 2017, and won in 2013 and 2017. And Sean, the Mile High Cannabis Crushers, won in 2021 and 2022, the only back-to-back team. Then we also have to shout out Marv, our homeboy. What's Marv's team name? It's still the same, right? It's always been the same. Why can't I think of it? It's what is it? Marv, could you tell us before we have to look this up?
Damn it, Marv. Damn it, Marv. You always gotta have weird names. No, it's actually something regular. It is Catch This Fade.
Nice. It was changed a few years ago. Yeah, you used to have something else. That's why I lost it. But Marv won the chip in 2015. Mikey Mike Longfellow, the Jolly Green Ganjas, won in 2016. Frank, the homie. Frank's team name also is
Auto
the Auto Draftees. Yes, very, very clever, Frank. Thank you.
Yeah,
Frank won in 2020. He actually beat me. That was the year Alvin Kamara played the first game of the championship week on Christmas Day, Thursday, and scored 6 fucking touchdowns.
Count them, folks.
Damn! And he beat me by less than his score. Oh, that's so annoying. Oh, and then, of course, we have to shout out our non-chip owners.
Fuck you.
Pascal, Ross, Philippe, Punks, and Drublick. We've got G-Men's Crusaders, who actually has never won a championship. We've got Jay, who officially has never won a championship. The Boston Bulldogs officially never won.
That was pre-merger?
Yeah. Apparently it was pre-merger, but nobody has any books that date that far back. Scott, the Fuckers, has never won. And then Aggie, I forgot his stupid-ass team name. It's something dumb.
I fucks your mom.
Yeah, it's some dumb shit. He never won either. Although he did make the championship last year and unfortunately gave Billy his 3rd win, so Billy's on top of the hill.
Damn it, Aggie. We were all counting on you, and you fucking failed.
Yeah, actually, Pascal, you made the championship once in 2012, but lost to me. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, we weren't paying out for 2nd place at that point. I've had some pretty good squads over the years, and I tend to miss out on money every time I have good squads.
That's all right, man.
But last year, hey, 3rd place, and I got my I got a few top scores, so I'll take that.
I also did some research to give you a shout out because I did look up the top scores. Actually, Colin, great. He has had the top score 3 seasons, 2013, 17, and 2020. Pascal and Marv actually come in second, have had the top scores in 2 separate seasons. Pascal took 10 years to do again. He did it in 2012 and 2022. And
I stopped watching football for about a decade.
That's what he tells us.
That's what I tell people.
And Marv actually back-to-back seasons 2014 and 15. He won one of those years.
Velas, I think that's when you were working as a registered NFL agent. So I don't really give you credit for those 2 years.
Yeah, you need to get that as at least back as a side job because we haven't seen you up there in a while. So
yeah, I don't know.
And then Bill, Sean, myself, Longfellow, and Frank have also had one season where we were top scorers. And then just one more little bit of information. The highest score ever to be recorded in our league was by Bill in 2019, 226.32 points.
Whoa!
Shout out Billy. Marv right up on the tail end of one of his amazing seasons.
He was about to say right up his ass.
No. Actually, the season Marv won and had the top score, 222 points. And then Longfellow comes in third and fourth. I didn't write down fourth, but I just noticed that he was there. So shout out, Mike, man. You need maybe just a few more inches. You're right there.
Good job. Mike, I will say, though, that your top score tends to be followed up by the bottom score. And that's not good. So let's work on that.
Yeah. Just almost there, Mike. You were just fell a little short.
All right. So now, after that walk down memory lane, it's time for Keeper Alert! All right, so in this segment, we're going to go through each team. Brendan is going to let us know who everyone has currently picked as their keeper. Remember, this is not final.
It better
You
not be.
have until Tuesday at midnight.
When the clock strikes 12.00.
That is 0000 in military time.
And in most countries, too.
You have until Tuesday at midnight, which I guess is really Wednesday.
It's Wednesday, 00 at Wednesday,
right?
yeah.
So like Tuesday at 11:59.
So like when Tuesday expires, your time is expired.
Yeah, so sorry, let me run that back. You have till Tuesday at 11:59 to finalize your keepers for this year's draft. If you don't, you got who you got.
And just another note, we're going to gather that information, Billy and I, and then I'm going to immediately let the league know who's keeping who and at what round they're going to be kept at, so everybody is on the same page, because unfortunately there's no way for us to like put this on the draft room, because the draft room will not open until usually 30 minutes before the actual draft. So with that being said,
just know that our league managers are putting in work. They're doing everything they can to make sure that this runs smoothly. They're even doing a mock draft tonight, like as if they don't have lives, they don't have jobs. At least tomorrow is a holiday, so
true.
They don't have to wake up too early. But I just want to say I appreciate you guys for all the work that you do.
Thanks, dude, for me and Bill.
It really makes this league function. Without you guys, it really wouldn't work as well as it does. So thank you guys.
Yeah, much appreciated, man. I mean, it's actually, like, I've been saying mock draft, but it's not really a mock draft because Colin like went nuts researching.
Oh my God,
he's like,
what are you gonna do?
I can't find anything. No one's ever done this. And I'm like, well, it's not really a mock draft. It's a draft, but it's a dummy draft. We're doing it so we can set up.
They're dummies.
Yeah, well, we want to set up the board. So we don't run into a situation like we had last year where Jay actually input keepers when we weren't doing keepers. And in the 30 minutes leading up to the draft, we had to get on the phone and like, we're like, oh my God, dude, Billy's like, should we cancel it and reschedule it? And I'm like, we can't, the season starts tomorrow, dude. We're like, nobody's available tomorrow afternoon. So we looked at his keepers and we're like, oh, that's like a first and second round pick anyway. So we let it ride because we all agreed that it was fair and fine and there was no way to really fix it.
And we just wanted to move forward with the draft. We didn't want to wait.
We weren't trying to think about Jay's team when we had our own teams to draft. So this is why we're doing this kind of to make sure that everything's ironed out. So when draft comes, we can all focus on our own teams and we could see the board being good. Okay. So with that being said, your keeper alert is here. We're going to run through the teams. Starting with our commissioner, Billy Duncan, William Duncan the third.
I don't know.
Second?
Is it the third?
He's definitely.
Let's call him the fourth. This sounds.
No, maybe it's.
Marvellous is the third.
I think his son is the fourth.
Is he?
Or he's the third.
Oh.
Bill, you got to confirm that tonight. Are you 2 or 3? Anyways,
he's not a junior.
No, he's not a junior. So Is 2 junior?
Yeah.
So why would you just say junior instead of 2? So maybe he's a third.
Fuck do I know? I'm not a junior.
Yeah. I'm a one and only. Like, Google my name. There's no other Brendan Casellas in the world.
No one would want to be named Jean Pascal Rolls Philippe. Try putting that shit on a Scantron. I would not do that to my child.
That's why he took the John
Thanks,
part away.
parents.
Thanks. All right, guys. Well, Billy has 2 high-powered keepers, both running backs, in fact. Currently, Billy is projected to keep Kyron Williams for a 10th round pick and Jonathan Taylor for a 6th round pick.
This just makes sense. I mean, this was the most obvious one
It's
besides Captain Cannabis, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
But like Brendan said, Kyron Williams, he's keeping that a 10th round pick.
I mean, he got him off waivers.
His current ADP is 2nd round.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Taylor,
I think he's 3rd.
He got him in the 7th round.
Yeah.
So he's giving up a 6th. And his ADP is 1st. He's a 1st round pick.
Oh, is he?
So Billy is basically going to have 2 firsts and 2 seconds this year.
Yeah. Hopefully
that's great for us.
Hopefully he messes up 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Or actually, he doesn't have a 6th. Anyways, Billy is going to get off to a good start chasing his 4th chip, but let's all get together and make sure that doesn't happen, all right?
Good luck, everybody, yes!
Without collusion. Okay. Then we have Mr. Jean Pascal Rose Philippe, a.k.a. Punks and Drublick, who is going to be projected to keep Devon Achane, the running back for the Dolphins, with a 10th round pick, and Rashee, please don't arrest me, Rice, for a 9th rounder. So a 10 and a 9, that's the best you can do. It's looking really good.
So I'm still not sure. It's between Rashee Rice and Rachaad White, the running back from Tampa Bay. I actually think that I might go with Rachaad White. I've been looking at the ADPs, and his ADP has been going up and up. Now he's looking like the beginning of the 3rd, when before he was looking like the beginning of the 4th round pick, whereas Rashee Rice is looking like an ADP of a 6th round pick. So,
and let's not forget that asterisk.
Right, 6th to 10th is 4 rounds of value, whereas Rachaad White 3rd to 6th is only 3 rounds of value. But the higher you go, the more valuable they are. I'd rather, I think, get a 3rd round pick. So there's a good chance I'll be switching over to Rachaad White.
That's true. And I also have a very similar situation, but we'll get that when we get there. But that, if you do go with Rachaad White, you realize that the first 4 keepers that we named are all running backs, and running back is a scarce position, even though there's more than the tight ends and quarterbacks that are fantasy
All
valuable.
the more reason for me to keep a running back.
All the more reason to go heavy on the running backs early in the draft, but don't listen to that last part. All right. Next we have Colin McCree. Colin McCree projects to also give up a 10th and a 6th rounder this year, with his 10th round pick being taken as Tank Dell, the potential wide receiver 1 on the Houston Texans, but he could also be a wide receiver 2 or 3. It really depends. It's a pretty stacked unit. His other keeper, which I'm pretty certain he's going to go with, is yet another running back, Isaiah Pacheco on the championship Kansas City Chiefs, where he'd give up a 6th rounder. So him and Billy both giving up a 10 and a 6 in that case, where Pascal gives up a 10
That's
and a
who
9.
I would have gone with too. When I was looking through his squad, he also has Brandon Ayuk, who he would have to give up a 5th, and his ADP is a 3rd.
It's a good choice,
if
though.
you think that Ayuk is going to be running higher than a 3rd round pick, if you think he's going to be maybe one of the top 5-10 receivers in the league, then he might be worth taking over Tank Dell, who got shot in the leg earlier this year.
Yeah, if he ever signs, with the team as well. Oh wait, no, he just did.
No,
That's
right. He got 4 years,
Yeah.
$120 million.
So what a waste of our time with that whole.
Completely.
Where is he gonna go? So
But that's
annoying.
how
He
they do.
signed, dude.
The 49ers are always doing that. They're always letting their guys do that, and then like, nope, we're gonna sign you.
But dude, I mean, he signed a contract with cobwebs on it. It was like their initial offer. Like he wasted our time, like straight up.
Yeah.
Screw you, Brandon.
But then another option for Colin would be Jaden Reed from the Packers.
Yep, that's true.
He would be able to keep him for a 10th round pick. His current ADP is 7th, so you're not looking at more value than Tank Dell. But if you're worried about injury history with Tank, Tank Dell is 5'8", 175 pounds or something like that.
Wait, I thought he was a tank.
Not quite. Maybe like a model tank, like
or like a children's toy tank.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so if you're worried about injury history with tank, then maybe going to Brandon Ayuk or Jaden Reed, who are a little bit sturdier players, might be the move. We'll see what he does.
Cool, man. The next team to go through is
the
yours
worst team
truly.
in our league.
East Coast Virus, stand up. I'm actually sitting. So my keepers are projected and probably will be, but I have a little bit of an idea of something else. I've got Kyler Murray, quarterback for the Cardinals, coming off of a 2-season injury, giving up a 10th round pick for him. And I've also got Mr. Mark Andrews, giving up a 9th round pick for him. Although he was drafted, I believe I drafted him in the late 2nd or early 3rd last year. But due to an injury last season, I dropped him, found out that his injury wasn't that bad. He might come back for the fantasy playoffs, which I didn't even make. But I picked him back up, and because he was picked up as a free agent or a waiver pickup, he now is valued at a 10 spot.
So this sounds like cheating, but it's not.
It sounds like
because anyone could have picked him up off of waivers, and that's the point.
He would have been 10th.
That's why waiver pickups go to the 10th round, because at that point they're free game.
Thanks for calling that out. I like the way you did it, because I couldn't have done it better. Yes.
Well, if you did it yourself, it would have been cheating.
Yeah, because then it would have been self-collusion.
So Brendan has one other option that I saw that would make sense.
That we discussed as well, because I've been really wrestling with my mind is, should I go this route?
And that's Mike Evans. He picked him up in the 7th last year, so he'd have to give up a 6th. Mike is going ADP in the 3rd round right now.
Early 3rd.
He's about as guaranteed of a 1,000-yard season for a 30-year-old player as you can get. I don't think he's had a season in his career under 1,000 yards.
And last year, the reason I drafted him is because preseason talk, he said he's gonna score 20 touchdowns, and he was so confident in the way he said it. I was like, yo, even if he doesn't score 20, which he didn't, he's still going to be electric. And he was, dude. He was. And you know what? You might, come draft time, you might see, or actually it'll be when I let everyone know what everybody's keepers actually are. You might see Mike Evans there instead of Kyler Murray. We'll see. Just wait to see. Cool, guys. The next, sorry, that was my beer. Oops. The next team we're going to review is Babaloo, a.k.a. Baba Lotion.
Babaloo.
Discussed this with Babaloo today. G-Men's Crusaders seems like the name's going to stick another year, even though I think Cruz's son is in college now.
I believe it.
I'm making that up, but it's probably true. It's probably true.
It probably is not.
Hopefully he changes it to something Daniel Jones related.
However, I don't think Victor Cruz has played in the last decade.
That's what I'm saying. He's, at least he's still repping the G-Man. Thanks, Babaloo. We like you. We love you. I'm kidding. So Babaloo's got really good options for keepers. He's so far going with this setup. Sam Laporta for a 10th. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Sam Laporta, the tight end 1 of the year last year, the first tight end to drive Travis Kelce out of his number 1 seed, I think 4 years in a row, and 6 out of 7, I think it was. Dude's nasty. Sam Laporta should be on deck to do amazing things in his career, and Babaloo can keep him until we tell him he can't with our limit. So that's probably going to give Puka a run for his money with the best keeper, pre-draft keeper.
No, not at all.
No? You don't think so?
Sam Laporta's ADP is third round.
Okay.
He's still a tight end at the end of the day.
Kyron's Kyron's a better.
Devon Achane, Isaiah. No, not Pacheco. There are others that are better.
But probably Puka's the best.
Yeah, definitely Puka.
Babaloo's other pick will be Raheem Mostert. He's not getting a ton of value from him. He's given up a 9th round, or technically a 10th round, but because he has 2 10-plus rounders, he gets a 10th and a 9th. He's going around the 9th round, isn't he? Or the 7th?
7th.
So he's going to get some value for him. And it's a running back, so obviously you want to try to get as many running backs as you can pre-draft, as Pascal and Billy have shown. And he has a really, really, really interesting option here. I'm going to let Pascal take this one away because it's been on my mind all offseason.
Yeah, so Baba actually was tied for what I saw as the most options for keepers with Colin. Great. But personally, if I were Baba, I would be keeping Sam Laporta. Duh, that's
hands down,
no brainer.
And
Trey McBride,
the other tight end,
who is
going to be nasty.
Thing is that we're seeing that there's not a lot of viable tight end options in the league.
5 to 7, if that.
And so more than that.
Great options. And
well, okay,
all right, but
so like I said,
my point
there's
is
not many viable tight end options in the league. And so even if you don't think that keeping 2 of the top tight ends on your squad is good value, you should be able to get a lot in a trade for whichever one of those tight ends you don't like.
Or you could play them all year, since our flex spots also allow tight ends. So you could technically have 2 sick tight ends. And these guys are projected to be top 5.
So Sam Laporta is projected in the 3rd round ADP, and Trey McBride is projected in the 4th round ADP. So you would basically be getting a 3rd and 4th round pick for 10th and 9th round picks. And at the same time, there's a good chance you'll have 2 of the 5 or 10 best tight ends in the league. So you're on one hand keeping a good tight end away from another player, and on the other hand, you have options if one of your guy gets hurt, if you want to make a trade, or if you just need someone steady to be your flex. Now, the other person that I looked at for Baba was Jordan Love. So Jordan Love, he took him in one of the later rounds.
I think he picked him up on waivers, actually. I don't think he
did. Maybe. Yeah. So he'd be keeping him for a 10th or a 9th round pick, and his current ADP is in the 6th round. Now, the thing about Jordan Love is he could blow up. He could be one of the best quarterbacks in the league this year, similar to how Jalen Hurts was that year that I had him, and he really just wrecked shop for me. So if you're not interested in Trey McBride, if you feel like Raheem Mostert is not the best value, Jordan Love to me is a good second option for that second keeper spot.
Cool, man. Yeah, I agree with that. And if Babalu keeps a tight end and a quarterback, he'll be in the same boat as me, a tight end and quarterback. Awesome.
Oh, well, you probably don't want to do that then.
No, it's not a bad idea. I mean, because if you're giving up a 10 and a 9 for a tight end and a quarterback, because you're me. Oh, I see. Okay. All right, next team is Agworld Antoine of Boston.
I fucks your mom.
Oh man, I hate that. Aggies' keeper choices as of right now are questionable.
So great.
Questionable. All right, look. On one hand, amazing players, great players, but how much value are you getting out of these guys? His draft picks are Deebo Samuel. He'd have to give up a 3rd rounder for him. And Jahmyr Gibbs, you'd have to give up a 2nd rounder for him. He might go in the 1st round. So it's okay. I mean, it's kind of like, you really want Gibbs? Keep him. You really want Deebo? Keep him.
Yeah, so giving up a 3rd rounder for Deebo, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know. That's risky.
I'm not sure.
He stays injured. And, I love his game. I love to watch him play. But, giving up a 3rd rounder for someone who is always injured, is the 2nd best, maybe even the 3rd best wide receiver on his team. And, listen,
maybe
he's
the
got
4th.
Ayuk. Well,
because he's got Kittle, he's got McCaffrey.
Sure,
he
if
might
you want
be
to consider
facing
Kittle a receiver, right?
You can.
You've got McCaffrey ahead of him.
Definitely.
You've got Ayuk ahead of him.
Definitely.
You probably got Kittle ahead of him. And who knows what's going to happen with Pearsall. You might even have him ahead of him by the end of the season. That just seems like it's super expensive. And when I'm looking at Deebo, his average draft position is the 3rd round.
So you're not getting much value. You're just locking those guys in.
Right, you're just locking your guy in. And if you really like him like that, then go for it.
Hey, everybody's got a different strategy, right?
But to me, I think that you have a little better value out there. To me, I think that it makes more sense if you're going to keep someone for the same round. I'd rather keep Zay Flowers.
Yeah, it's
right?
he's sixth
He has-
round ADP.
He has way more upside. You're only giving up a sixth for him, but you get to lock him in. So there's a chance that he could be worth a second or a third round pick this year. So I would feel more comfortable with Zay. And then Evan Ingram. Again, you've got the scarcity of the tight ends. Plus, you're giving up a seventh for him. His ADP is in the sixth. At least you're getting one round of value. So to me, I would probably keep those two guys, or maybe one of the two. I guess you can't keep them both for sixth, so that would kind of mess that up a little bit. I probably wouldn't keep either one for a fifth, so I'd probably pick between the two. Which one do I like more, and keep that guy? Probably Evan Ingram.
Yeah,
you're getting some value there.
Ingram over Flowers. There's too much competition on Baltimore.
Flowers just has so much more upside.
Eh.
Yeah.
Eh.
Okay.
Flowers die real fast.
Anyway.
All right, so moving on. We are looking at our boy Marv. Hobos and Shotgun. That's the freaking name I was thinking of.
Yeah,
all right,
that
cool.
was a good one. I like that one.
That
was a good movie.
Catch This Fade is cool too. I dig it.
Yep.
Marv's
got the good names.
Marv's got some good keepers too. His choices are Nico Collins for a 10. What an excellent choice. I do believe myself that Houston's number one receiver will be Nico Collins.
Yeah,
I'm pretty certain.
Yeah,
I mean, he's the big body guy.
I think there's a good chance Tank will get injured. He'll miss some games.
He's going to be a good gadgety player, but with that comes more ups and downs. I think Nico's going to have a much
talented player on the team
for sure. He's definitely the most athletic, but I think Nico is going to have the more consistent season.
Oh, I wouldn't even say the most athletic. I just think he's the most talented, best route running, best combination. Because Steph is probably still the best route runner. Nico is, I think, a bigger, more athletic player, but I think Tank, he knows how to play. He knows how to find the soft spot in zones. Yeah, he's top-notch
he's the best
route runner,
gadget player of
fast
the
enough.
three.
Even though I think he ran like a 4.5, I don't think he's a burner like that.
Well, he's little. There's not enough. There's not a lot to carry. So, and then Marv's other pick, we have James Cook, giving up a 6th rounder for him, which gives him about 3 rounds of value there.
James Cook, I traded him for Rashad White, so it looks like we both kind of came out well in that trade.
Hot damn, that's interesting. Another 10 and a 6. It looks like Billy, Colin, and Marv are giving up a 10th and a 6th. And I
probably will too if I switch over to
Rashad White, and if I keep Mike Evans, I'll be giving up a 10 and a 6. This seems to be a pretty sweet spot.
So you're saying that there's a lot of value in the 7th round?
Yeah, oh yeah, this past year for sure. I looked at the lineup. I was like, damn, almost everybody had a dope 7th rounder.
Mike Evans.
We should
Jonathan
pull it up.
Taylor, Isaiah Pacheco.
Pull up the draft board and let's
Flowers,
see who else.
James Cook,
Kamara,
Pittman. All these people were 7th round picks.
Nice. All right, well let's move on because we're burning a lot of time on this keepers, but this is what this episode's about. Burning. Yeah. We certainly need to finish quick for that reason. All right, so our next keepers.
It bodes well that works well for you. Pause.
The next keeper.
Hold on. One thing about Catch This Fade.
Oh yeah, you have another choice.
He did have an honorable mention. I agreed that Nico Collins and James Cook were by far the best options for him. However, there is another option, George Pickens. So that was another person that I traded in that trade. He got George Pickens, James Cook, and Jamar Chase. Who?
Oh my God! Imagine he kept Bijan and Jamar Chase, and we didn't do a -1.
He wanted to.
Yeah, that's why he traded. He told me today he traded for Jamar, thinking that he'd be able to keep him every year for the rest of his career. I was like, oh, sorry, buddy.
I know who Marv doesn't like, and it's not Jamar Chase. Moving along.
Well put. Yeah. So George Pickens. So James Cook right now is ADP a 3rd round pick, and Velas would have to give up a 6th round pick to keep him. George Pickens ADP is a 5th round pick, but he'd only have to give up an 8th round pick to keep him. Of
course, you're gonna go for the higher value, and he's a running back.
Not necessarily. So the thing is that James Cook has a rookie running back behind him who might steal some of his carries. So there's a little bit of a risk there. Whereas George Pickens is literally all they have.
Yeah, they don't even have a quarterback.
Right, they don't even have a quarterback. Exactly.
That's where his problem lies, though.
He is the only receiver on that team. And we've seen in the past that if you have one good receiver and no quarterback, the receiver can still put up numbers. So I would probably still keep Cook just because better offense, better player. But there's an argument to be had there.
True. All right. Well, moving forward now, we've got the homie, the only team to win 2 years in a row. Sean, Mile High, the excellence.
Captain Cannabis.
The Captain Cannabinoid. So the Captain Cannabinoid has the one of, like we've mentioned throughout the entire podcast so far, Puka Nacua, a 10th round pick for a second round value.
Probably one of the best keepers of all time.
Yeah. Well, for now, we'll see. We'll see if Cooper Kupp reclaims his title and if Matt Stafford could stay healthy. I mean, it's really, there's a lot of elements that also,
True.
Everyone faces plenty of questions and plenty of elements, but.
And now everyone's seen him for a whole season, so he's going to get more attention, maybe?
I don't know. We'll see. Sean actually only listed one keeper as of right now.
And I agree with him.
Yeah, we combed through his team.
When you look at Sean's team from last year, you understand why he got last place.
That's messed up. He's going to be mad.
I mean, it's true also.
I mean,
I literally couldn't find anyone else worth keeping. I didn't really do as deep of a dive as hopefully he did on his own team, but considering he only gave you one name, seems like we agree.
Yeah, I mean, I did look at his entire team to see if there's any other like suggestions we can make, and the only person, which he might even lose value with this, would be Tyler Conklin, who we got in the 15th round last year, but giving up a 10th rounder for somebody whose ADP I think is 12th round, or maybe even further down, might just be better just to keep one guy, and that's that. So,
yeah, his average draft position is 184th.
Oh, yeah. So
which
that's
is like
well past the 10th round.
14th round, 15th round.
10th round is 120 to 132. So, yeah, that's late.
So
Sean,
it doesn't make sense to give up a 10th round pick for someone who's going in the 14th round. You're just losing value.
Exactly. You don't want to lose value, and you don't have to keep two players. You don't have to even keep one. But we would suggest trying to keep somebody, especially if their name's Puka Nacua. I mean, that's probably
a
good
given.
idea.
And see, that's the great thing for Sean is that he only has one person, but he has the best person. So he's not really missing out on much.
No, he's not. And he's going to get pick 1 through 9, lose 10, and then pick the rest of them.
Well,
the auto draftees, Frank is
whose birthday it was yesterday. Bon anniversaire.
Oh shit! Happy birthday, Frank! I missed that. I wish I knew.
I posted it in the chat.
Yo, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah, you're blind.
Man, I should have.
Frank, obviously, I'm the only one that cares about you, so just
love you,
remember
Frank.
that going forward in the future.
Love you very much. Just because you guys are both French. If you weren't French, he would leave you to the dogs.
Sacre bleu.
So Frank actually hasn't listed any keepers yet, which is okay. We know shit is busy and you haven't gotten a chance to like really look deep into it, but we did
now
a little.
You get to listen to the podcast to make your decision.
Yeah, we did a little research for you and came up with a couple of viable options. So Pascal, have a way at it.
Yeah. So to me, the top keeper for Frank is Alvin Kamara. He picked him up in the 7th last year, so that means he's giving up a 6th to keep him, and his ADP is in the 4th. But considering it's Alvin Kamara, last year was a little bit of a down year. There's a good chance that he could still pop off. He's getting older, but nonetheless, he's a receiving back in his primary role. And in a PPR league, that's worth a lot.
I was going to say, just don't forget PPR. Last year, Alvin Kamara had a game where he had 13 receptions on 16 targets. Guess how many yards? 13 receptions, guess.
I'll go 30 yards.
I think it was 25 yards. I'm not even kidding you.
But you know what, though? That's still 15 points. And if he gets a touchdown, that's 6 points? That's 21 points. So
sick.
You know, PPR, it really makes up for a lack of production.
Yeah, for real.
And I have 2 other options that to me would make sense.
Excuse me, I'm a little gassy.
David Montgomery. He picked him up in the 8th last year. His ADP is in the 6th, but I think we can all agree that last year he outperformed a 6th round pick. So if he can get anywhere near what he did last year, I think that giving up a 7th for that would be good value.
One thing about David Montgomery, though, he's like, his ADP is all over the place. If you look at different platforms, ADPs, David Montgomery goes anywhere from the 6th to the 10th round. I mean, he's all over the place because obviously Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
But Montgomery isn't just going to go away. They're not going to just ignore him. They're not going to put him as a backup. Like, he's a big bruising body that Gibbs is not going to be able to do it all himself. And
we got to remember that Gibbs has already gotten injured once this preseason.
Yeah,
and he got injured bad enough where people weren't sure if he might miss the beginning of the season or even the whole season.
Hence the reason Montgomery's ADP shot up to 6.
Right.
So that's why it's kind of like questionable.
But if you don't think that Gibbs can last the season, then that's a good person to keep for a 7th round pick. Because even if Gibbs does last, David Montgomery will probably be vulturing touchdown carries on the goal line.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
And then the other person that made sense to me was someone that he planned ahead for very smartly, picked him up off waivers a week before I was planning on picking him up off waivers. However, this person also is on PUP and will be missing the first 4 weeks of the season. Of course, we're talking about Nick Chubb. All right. Now, Nick Chubb was a league winner for the majority of his career. I've had him once or twice, and listen, you are not disappointed with Nick Chubb.
He's always doing it, man.
But you're guaranteed to miss a quarter of the season because he's still injured. And it was a pretty serious injury. I think it was a ACL tear, something to his knee.
Oh, it was a multiple tear. All the CLs.
Right. And so coming back off of that, he could be Adrian Peterson and run for 2,000 yards, but he might not. So it's risky, but at the same time, you'd be giving up a 10th round pick for him. So a lot of times that's right in the wheelhouse of where you want to go, high reward, high risk.
And
so,
I also looked into Frank's a little bit further as well, because I checked like the super late rounds to see if anybody had any values. And Frank selected Romeo Doubs in the 14th round. I doubt he's going to be drafted. I doubt his ADP is above the 10th, so it's kind of a wash.
I was
and
looking
it's
at
like
all those guys.
Not
like
worth it.
Dontavian Wicks, Doubs,
Watson,
and then the other one that starts with an R.
Jaden Reed.
Yeah, Reed. They are not really getting drafted that high. You'd be taking a risk.
He would. The other one I noticed, though, Frank's 17th round pick last year, unfortunately, he didn't keep him for the remainder of the season, so he can't keep this guy. But Jerome Ford, he picked him in the 17th, and if he did still have him on his roster, and he could technically keep Nick Chubb and Jerome Ford and then just lock down the Browns' backfield. But are the Browns going to be good? It's kind of a big question mark.
And also, Jerome Ford, his ADP isn't that high.
It's not the 10th round.
So it's like
probably the 10th round.
It's
115,
it's
so
the
it's like
round.
9th round. So you get some sort of value. But.
No, you wouldn't. You'd be getting equal value.
You can give a 10 and a 9 for Chubb and Jerome, and it'd be for a 10 and a 9.
Yeah, basically. So for 2 9s. Yeah. So not a lot of value there, but
you have
things
other
to
options.
think about.
Yeah, take a look at it. Next we have Mike, Mr. Longfellow, the Jolly Green Ganjas.
Mr. Longfellow, short fellow.
Mr. Longfellow. Mike has only given us one keeper. He has some really good options otherwise. As a matter of fact, 2 other really good options.
I actually think that Mike gave the wrong keeper.
Yeah, I believe he did too. He just is in love with the long hair of George Kittle, probably because of his likeness to Tom Shine.
Very lustrous.
Tom Shine and George Kittle, I can understand that. Mike's a big fan
of
Tom. And
I think we're all big fans of Tom Shine.
Yeah, I am. Well, I'm sure there's somebody that doesn't like Tom.
Well,
he's pretty abrasive.
He is. Okay, you're right.
But I think in our league, you know what? Let's call him out. Billy, I don't think you like Tom Shine.
Oh, shit. Shots fired.
We all love Tom Shine. Tom, go get him. Go make that money and put in those balls.
Put them balls in your hands, my friend.
No, in the hole.
Oh,
balls in the hole.
My bad. I don't know how to play pool.
And slots. Tom's cool. Shout out to Tom Shine. I hope he listens to this.
Sluts?
Slots and cue balls.
Okay.
Tommy Greenball. All right, anyways. So Mike chose George Kittle as his keeper so far. and he's giving up a 5th round pick for him
Now, that's the problem.
because George Kittle.
His ADP is a 5th round pick.
So if he really loves him, he'll keep him. If he doesn't,
Yeah.
then he could just get him in the
He
5th
really
round.
loved-
I mean,
Listen, Mike, I was not going to tell you this because
don't tell him.
I
Don't tell
didn't
him.
want you to do well,
Ugh.
and you beat me sometimes.
He does
and
well.
I don't like that.
He does well anyway.
Yeah, your team is way better than I expected to do every year.
Every year.
But I'm going to help you out this year because I don't want you to be mad.
Could we only give him one of the two?
No.
We have to give him both.
I'm giving them both.
You
All
know
right.
what?
So listen, Mike.
One of them is a home
CJ
run.
fucking Stroud, man. Like, come on. You picked him up in what? Like 14th round or something?
No, he waivers. I think you got him as waivers.
Waivers?
Yeah.
Oh my God. You
Either
did not
way.
get Stroud off of waivers.
I think he did.
You got Stroud off of waivers, Mike. All right. So CJ Stroud, his ADP right now is the 5th round.
Just
You would
like
have
Kyler,
to give
man.
up a 10th round pick, and you're getting a 5th round player. That's 5 rounds of value.
And don't forget, you don't have to think about when you're going to pick your quarterback.
Right.
Because our league, as a history, always drafts quarterbacks
In the second
way
round.
higher, way higher than their ADP.
I was
every
looking
year.
at whoever had Patrick Mahomes last year. You picked him in the 2nd round. What are you doing? Like, come on now.
That didn't
I mean,
pay off last year.
Do what you want, I guess, but quarterbacks usually you wait till later because
Well, the reason-
the difference between the best quarterback and like the 15th quarterback is like usually like 5 points per game, something like that. It's not that much.
But the thing is, like, once somebody pulls the trigger on a quarterback, then it starts like the like domino effect, and it's smart to take a quarterback early if everybody else is taking their quarterbacks early. You can't just go based off of like a mock draft that you did online with some intelligent
And
AI.
then there's me who waits till like the 11th round and
You
takes
just punt-
Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff.
Punt the option.
But
did that last
Kirk
year.
Cousins and Jared Goff tend to be pretty good options.
I
Just
scored
saying.
Goff and Richardson last year.
There you go.
And then I dropped Richardson and picked up Murray off waivers because he was going to be coming back. And guess who my
Voila,
keeper is?
motherfucker.
That's right.
All right. So CJ Stroud, I think that's an obvious option.
Yeah.
You're getting 5 rounds of value.
All right, moving
And this
along.
is the
No,
one.
no, moving along. Next team.
This is the one I really didn't want to tell you about.
I hate this so much.
I was gonna look for drafting this guy.
I'm going to send this to Mike
Mike.
on Wednesday.
Michael Pittman, bro.
You got to be shitting me.
Michael Pittman.
How did
All
you
right,
forget about him?
So you picked him up last year in the 7th round. That means that you're giving up a 6th rounder for him this year. He's going in the 3rd round. You're picking up a 3rd rounder for the value of a 6th rounder, man.
You know who that reminds me of?
You like if you want to keep Kittle, I guess. Like he could have a bounce back year. Tight ends are hard to get, but Michael Pittman's giving you 3 rounds of value. I don't know. It's hard to say no to that.
You know who that reminds me of? The player that was picked directly after Michael Pittman, Mike Evans. 7th round.
There you go.
6th round value for this year. Drafted as his ADP right now in the 3rd round.
Yeah, both of them. Michael Pittman, Mike Evans. You're giving up a 6th. Their ADP is a 3rd. I mean, there's some uncertainty in Indianapolis, right? They've got Anthony Richardson. Who knows what he's going to look like coming back off of his injury? He was never the most polished passer in the first case. But I mean, Michael Pittman, he produces with anybody. He produces with what's dude who's the quarterback for the Raiders right now?
Gardner Minshew?
Gardner Minshew. He produced with Gardner Minshew.
I mean, he's not bad, though.
No, he's not. But
I think
he's
Minshew's
not good
pretty
either. He's the middle of the round.
If you have a receiver for Gardner Minshew, it's like you're not
replacement
nervous.
quarterback. That's what he is.
Yeah, but he's not. He's no like Zach Wilson.
Well,
Ugh.
yeah, Zach Wilson is trash. Even though with Zach Wilson, Garrett Wilson, right?
Yeah.
He still put up numbers. So.
Well, he's one of those unfazed players that doesn't matter who's throwing the ball.
All right. So Mike, that's my suggestion. We'll see what you do with it, but yeah.
Don't do anything with it, Mike. Just keep Kittle for the 5th. All right. Anyways, moving on. We got 2 teams left. We got Scotty McBody, Scotty Too Hottie, the fuckers. Scott's current potential keepers are listed as Brock Purdy for a 10th rounder. It's a good choice. I think he's going in the 8th? Okay,
Yeah,
the 8th round.
ADP.
Okay, so that's good. You get a little bit of value off of that, and I know you love the 49ers, so I know you're a homer. That's totally cool, too. I
Definitely
am, too.
worth keeping them. I mean,
For sure.
you getting value favorite team.
Yeah.
That's the perfect mix of
Yeah,
opportunity and.
Too bad you didn't have Kittle for the 5th, so you could just stack them for almost no value. Anyways,
Hey, maybe you could trade for him.
no, maybe you could. With your other keeper option, Scary Terry McLaurin, who he's given up a 5th rounder for. Pascal doesn't seem so sure about that pick.
I was disappointed when I saw that. I honestly, when I was looking at your team, I thought Terry would be a good option too, right? And then I looked at the ADP. Terry McLaurin's ADP right now is number 72, which is 6th round.
6th round. Yeah.
Right there. And so if you're giving up a 5th rounder for a 6th rounder, that's bad value. You're losing a round of value. You're better off just taking him in the 5th round.
Yeah.
You know?
True.
You know, you do what you want. But to me, that Terry was off my keepers list once I saw that. But luckily for you, you have another receiving option who I think would be a much better option for you.
It's a better player, as at least we're expecting him to be better this year.
Yeah. So Drake London. Drake London, you picked him up in the 6th round last year, or whoever. You might have gotten him in a trade. I'm not sure.
I think it was 6th round.
Yeah, but he was drafted in the 6th round last year. His ADP this year is 3rd round. All right, so right there, you've got 2 rounds of value. If I'm mistaken and you dropped him and picked him up off waivers or something like that, which I don't think happened, but then you're talking 7 rounds of value, and there's no question at that point. But even at 2 rounds of value, he's got Kirk Cousins. Even if Kirk can't play, he's got Michael Penix.
And he's a WR1. I mean,
yeah. So I think that Brock and Drake are probably the better bet for you.
And then I have another deeper dive, which I think that this could also be a really good keeper option for you, Scott. In the 17th round last year, you scored Rashid Shaheed. So he's definitely going ahead of the 10th round. I haven't researched it. We'll look at it now. But Rashid Shaheed is certainly
not.
Oh, no?
He is the 185th player by ADP.
So forget that. And another one I looked at for you was Jameson Williams, who also his ADP is not going to reflect properly what he can do. His ceiling is definitely higher than a 10th round.
So Jameson Williams, yeah, he's his ADP is 10th round. So you'd keep him for equal value.
But with the thought that he might be better. But right. these are options for you guys. We don't want to make your picks for you, but we do want to just give you a little bit of advice, at least this year. Next year, don't expect this shit from us. All right?
We're definitely not doing all this work for you guys next year. But like Brendan said, because this is the first year, we want to make sure that no one's feeling like they're kind of getting the short end of the stick. So as much as I don't want to give you my thoughts, here they are.
And don't worry, Jay, we didn't forget about you. The Boston Bulldogs, who recently rejoined the Facebook Messenger chat. Let's give him a little round of applause. It took so long to get him back. A lot of conversation, argument, whatever you want to call it. Thanks for creating a fake name, fake profile, so you could talk to us again. Welcome back. All right, so Jay is keeping Brees. Brees is a 1st round ADP.
So this is probably the best player that will be kept.
Yes,
in our whole league.
I think it'll be the only 1st rounder for sure.
Maybe Puka might
I think
have
Puka's
been a first.
more of a 2nd rounder.
Jonathan Taylor, his ADP is
he's
round.
closer to the 1st round. Yeah,
but like Brees Hall, we're talking about a legitimate top 5 player.
Yeah,
maybe even top 3.
Most
depending on what ADP you're looking at.
I mean, most drafts I've seen, like he's going as the running back 2 or the running back 3. I mean, it's up there. Like Marv isn't allowed to keep Bijan because he drafted him 1st round last year.
CMC was a 1st round pick.
Brees is going before Bijan, not before CMC because he's always the 101.
Right.
I mean, pretty much. But
Brees, people are taking him at 1-2, at 1-3, 1-5. Like
he doesn't fall much further past like 1-8.
Yeah.
So great option for a keeper, especially because he's the running back for your team, which has had a lot of rough history. So
right.
Let's hope that that's a bright spot.
And Brees was a beast last year without Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
and coming off of injury.
To be a beast on an offense that's run by Zach Wilson, I mean, come on, dude.
Right? And coming off of, I think, an ACL tear.
Yeah.
That's no question.
And then Jay's other pick, we just got this in. He's looking to keep Curtis Samuel for a 10th. I thought it was a really good. I thought it was good. Pascal doesn't believe
I don't like that.
The numbers don't really match up too strongly. I mean, Jay did draft Curtis Samuel in the 16th round. He was on a different team last year. Now he's joining the Bills and could be the Bills' number 1 receiver.
So here's the thing. If you were able to keep him for a 16th rounder, okay.
Yeah.
Not bad. But
with the 10-round cap,
ADP is already at the end of the 11th. He's basically a 12th rounder.
So he's losing value.
You're losing value.
Yeah.
Just wait. Person, you have a much better option in my mind.
And it's so crazy because it would be the same cost of a 10th rounder.
Well, almost.
Oh,
it's a 9th rounder.
Oh, it's a 9th rounder. Okay,
so
one
this
more
person,
spot.
you drafted him in the 10th round last year, so you're going to have to give up a 9th for him this year. But he comes out of position of scarcity, and his ADP is a 5th rounder. I'm talking Dalton Kincaid of the Buffalo Bills.
Who will be the Buffalo Bills WR1, even though he's not a WR.
Most likely. So you were talking about taking Curtis Samuel, probably thinking that he was going to get a lot of looks this year. You have another Bill that I think is a better option for you.
And it's not Belichick.
No. If we could draft Bill Belichick, I would take him first overall.
Good. I wish we were doing that next season then.
Yay.
You're going to be the only one, though.
Yay. But no, Dalton Kincaid, he's probably going to be the focal point of the Bills offense this year, him and James Cook. They've got Keon Coleman, but he hasn't been looking great. He's not a guy that can really separate very well, so we'll see how he actually does when real games are being played. Curtis Samuel, like we said, his ADP is already 12th round, so anyone whose ADP is above the 10th round is just not worth keeping.
Unless you believe in them.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
Or don't want to do any more research.
Right. Or you didn't listen to this before the draft, and now it's too late.
You better listen.
But yeah, I think Dalton Kincaid is a better option for you. You're getting 4 rounds of value. Then you've got all-world running back. You've got a top-notch tight end. And now you can just focus on wide receivers for the rest of your draft.
If that's how you want to do things and do a...
yeah, if you want, whatever.
Hero running back option.
Yeah. I mean, giving up a third for Brees, a third is a third, but it's worth it.
True. I agree. I think that's one of the greatest picks, even though he's only getting a couple spots of value. I think it's going to be a really, really strong pick for him. As we move along, I think we're well past the time allotted, but you know what? This is our podcast. This is our choice, and this is your time. Hopefully you can listen and stay with us. We're going to keep it moving to our next segment.
It's Up in the Air.
Put it in the airs. Up in the Air podcast will review the largest pre-draft questions.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff going on in the league. I've got like 50 neighbors. Malik
Neighbors being number 2.
50 names on this list, so we're going to try to go through them pretty quickly. But yeah, so we're going to start out with holdouts. So we've got like Jamar Chase. Will his wanting a new contract keep him off the field? How will this affect T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, the running backs? Like, we don't know what's going on there.
Probably not strongly.
He returned to practice technically, but I don't think he actually returned to practicing. So it doesn't look like he's going to start week 1. We'll see. There's just a lot up in the air there.
A bold prediction. I guarantee that he starts week 1 and he plays every game of the season, barring injury. I guarantee it.
Okay. Guarantees from Brendan's
Casello. Guarantees.
All right. So the next person is Trent Williams. He's not a fantasy player in that aspect, but he can be the linchpin for that San Francisco offense,
which is full of fantasy
They
options.
already don't have the best offensive line. And without him, it's really just not very good. Now, Kyle Shanahan's great at scheming up offense, so it might not matter. But if it does matter, then that's going to affect people like Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Brendan Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, a lot of people that are going to be on our teams this year. So it's kind of, we want to see what's going to happen with Trent. You know, they're much better with him than without him. Then Dak Prescott. Is he going to get paid?
Don't think so.
Like they just gave CD 4 for 136, I think.
Yeah, second highest wide receiver contract in
of
history.
all time.
Wait, are you talking about Dak, next year's New York Giants starting quarterback? Is that who you're talking about?
Oh, look at you wanting Cowboys on your team.
It's not. He's not a
How
cowboy.
about that?
He's
He
a
is
quarterback.
a cowboy.
He's not a cowboy. He's not a cowboy after this year.
Yeehaw!
Ugh.
All right, so is he gonna get paid? If he doesn't get
Not by the
paid,
Cowboys.
is that gonna affect his play? Is he
No.
gonna hold out in the regular season? Like he hasn't held out yet, but
No
is he or hold in? Right, the new way to do it is he gonna have like a mysterious injury or illness where he just can't play?
They're playing him like a fiddle. He's not. He's a good guy. I never talk too highly about Cowboys players or Eagles players, but I have to say Dak is a good dude. He's gonna play. He's gonna play well. He's gonna support CD and whatever shit show of running backs they have over there, like dusty old timers.
Yeah, fucking Rico Dowdle, and they've got Ezekiel Elliott.
Ugh.
We're actually gonna go through this. So
Wait, do you know they just signed?
Dalvin Cook?
Yeah, Dalvin.
Yeah, I know.
Not
It's
a
pathetic.
bit, kind of a weak sign.
Pathetic. They had one of the best running back rooms in the league, and now it's probably one of the worst.
Good.
But yeah, so how does Dak affect everyone else on the Cowboys, and will he even play? So now we've got some top tier players who have question marks. So Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Travis Kelce, David Njoku, Evan Ingram, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. Like all of these guys have question marks around their quarterbacks, their age, something of that respect where it's like, all right,
Do they still
they're
got
still
it?
worth drafting, but do I want to draft them as high as I would have if their situation was better?
Guess what? They're all going to be drafted, and all the owners will be faced with those questions.
Yeah. But think about when you're going to draft these guys, because Justin Jefferson's catching passes from the Jets quarterback.
Darnold?
Yeah, Sam Darnold. Seeing ghosts. Devontae Adams has Gardner Minshew. Stephon Diggs is likely going to be the third receiver behind Tank Dell and Nico Collins.
He might even be the fourth behind the running back too.
Right? David Njoku had a huge season last year, but the Browns lost their offensive line coach. They lost their backup offensive coordinator, and they lost their quarterback who gave him a lot of his yards. Deshaun Watson is now their full-time, so...
And Njoku and the next guy, Evan Ingram, these guys are, we waited so long for them to pop, and they finally actually did, which is so rare for a player to play more than 4 years and then finally hit their stride. Will they keep it continued?
Now, tight ends do tend to develop slower than the rest of the guys in the NFL, but yeah, they're getting older. Like, what's really going to happen with them? And was last year an aberration, or are we going to see more of that? So then we've got the quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. All of them seem kind of washed. Like, Justin Fields...
I don't think Justin Fields is washed.
So he's not washed from a fantasy perspective, but as an actual NFL starting quarterback, he's not good.
I think he's better than Russ, and I think Russ is just there to kind of guide him in the right way, not like the Bears
I don't
did
know
for him.
that. I don't know that because I feel like Mike Tomlin would have started him. Russ was hurt a lot of the preseason. That was the perfect opportunity for Mike to be like, "No, we're going with Justin."
But the reason they drafted Russ is because
Traded
they
for
traded. That's what I meant. The reason they picked up Russ is because they wanted to have somebody teach Justin Fields the proper way to handle his shit in a real NFL game.
I thought they picked up Russ before they got Justin.
No, they got Justin first, and then they got Russ.
Okay.
Which was really upsetting for Justin. Because it's like, what the you know what I mean? But they want to show him, the ropes. The Bears didn't do that for him. And that's why I think he failed, quote unquote. I don't think he failed. I think he's a good guy, a good quarterback. I think he's good. But we also have to remember there are a lot of short-term thoughts with quarterbacks. People forget they have a peanut brain when it comes to quarterbacks, just talented quarterbacks. If they get injured, people will be quick to say they're trash. Oh, what did they do last year? Well, dude, they only played half a season or a couple games. There's a lot of quarterbacks coming back from injury we're going to go over as well to discuss a few of those options. But yeah, the Steelers quarterback room is, I guess you can call it stacked, but guarantee more throws, more plays are called. or more hikes are called with.
Yeah, so I think they did pick up Russ first. I think they got Russ in free agency in March, and they traded for Justin Fields during the draft in April. But either way, they're trying to figure this out. That's gonna have an effect on the entire Steelers team. So there's just a lot of uncertainty there. Russ, he played pretty well towards the end of the season last year in Denver, but like, who knows what we're gonna get from either one of those guys.
Sorry, that was just me thinking about Russell Wilson.
All right, so then we've got the Cowboys running backs. They've got young guys and Rico Dowdle and Deuce Vaughn. Or are they going to stick with the old guys and Zeke Elliott and Dalvin Cook? Then we got more running back questions. Is Ray Davis going to take carries from James Cook in Buffalo? Is Braylon Allen going to take carries from Breece Hall in New Jersey?
Not this year.
Is Tyrone Tracy going to be any good behind a suspect offensive line also in New Jersey, but the NFC jersey?
You put New Jersey? Get out of here, bro. Get out of here with that bullshit.
There's only one New York team, the
Man,
Buffalo Bills.
You have an entire fucking province of New England with multiple states.
Okay.
So let's just call them the Massachusetts Patriots.
Why?
then.
They play in New England.
They're the Massachusetts Patriots.
But that's not their name.
Yeah, well, that's not the Giants' name. The Jersey Giants. That's
Right,
not
but
it doesn't.
The Patriots play
in
New
Massachusetts.
England. In New England.
In Massachusetts.
Yes, which is in New England.
In Massachusetts.
New York is not in New Jersey, and New Jersey is not in New York.
In MetLife Stadium, it is. Don't fucking argue with me
MetLife
about
Stadium
this.
is New
MetLife
Jersey.
Stadium is New York in New Jersey, all right? It's just like Staten Island. We'll trade Jersey, Staten Island for the Giants for MetLife.
What are the rookies in New Jersey?
So annoying.
What are the rookies in New Jersey who play in New Jersey?
New York.
Who
New York
practice
Giants.
in New Jersey?
New York Jets.
What will they be doing? Will Braylon Allen get any carries? Will Tyrone Tracy be worth anything?
Probably not.
And then in Tampa Bay, will Bucky Irvin take any of the carries or any of the passes away from Rashad White?
Probably not that much.
Will Blake Corum take any carries away from Kyron Williams,
Yes.
punt returner for the Rams?
That one is the biggest question mark. Ray Davis and Blake Corum.
For Billy. That's got to be scary for Billy. Like, the fact that they're playing him at punt returner, it's like you don't usually take your starting running back and put them at punt returner.
I'll tell you what, in Jay's fantasy league, they count punt and kickoff return yards as regular yards, so you know who's going to be going really high in that draft.
Yeah, that would be cool. All right,
Kyron and Rashid Shaheed.
Then we've got questions from teams that have two legitimate running backs. So are the Bengals
committees?
Yeah, are the Bengals going to be playing Chase Brown or Zach Moss more?
Zach Moss.
Are the Jaguars going to be playing Travis Etienne or Tank Bigsby?
Easy, Etienne.
Well, Etienne has injury history. They might want to limit his carries.
Well, he can go to anger management and injury management.
Yeah, we'll see. The Dolphins have Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert.
That's a real committee.
And they also have Jalen Wright, a rookie that they drafted this year.
What'd you say?
I don't know. And then the Chiefs with Isaiah Pacheco and Samaje Perine.
Don't get Colin all worried.
I know. It's not like a real worry. It's more so like, is Samaje going to be the third down back? Is he going to take all of those passing yards?
No, I think Pacheco is a strong body. I think he's going to be a full 3-down back. And Perine was just released like last week by the Broncos, so he's too fresh.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
And then the Chargers, they've got two hospital fans in Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins.
From Baltimore, both of them. They went together.
So are they both going to be hurt all year?
Well, that will certainly be an amazing committee, and I'm leaning toward Dobbins, even though Gus has the higher ADP.
I'm leaning towards neither one. All right, and then we've got some running backs that are in new homes.
Oh, these ones are
fun.
We got Saquon going to the Eagles, very depressing and upsetting, but I'm sure he'll do good, and I wish him luck, but I hope his team fails. It should be interesting. I don't want to talk any more about that one, though. DeAndre Swift is a really interesting one going over to the Bears. He is joining a very, very powerful offense, potent, lots of players, but with a rookie quarterback. We will see, but I think that everything is kind of going his way. I think DeAndre Swift is a huge value in the draft this year. And then we've also got our boy, a much smaller Saquon Barkley, Devin Singletary, who joined the Giants, allowing them to scoop Malik Neighbors in the draft, and I think they will be way better than everybody's suspecting because people love talking shit about the Giants. It's so annoying.
It sounds like wishful thinking.
It's not wishful. It's he'll do fine. He was great on the Texans at the end of the year last year. Great.
So then we also have Josh Jacobs, who went from the Raiders to the Packers.
Interesting.
We've got Aaron Jones, who went from the Packers to the Vikings.
Just like Saquon. What an asshole.
And Joe Mixon, who went from the Bengals to the Texans.
That one could be very interesting, too.
Now, here's the thing. I was reading something a few weeks ago that said that running backs who have switched teams tend not to do very well. And so that's why I'm asking, how are these guys going to do in their new homes? Because if history tells us anything, there's going to be a drop-off. And a lot of these guys weren't exactly world beaters last year.
Well, let's just take a look at DeAndre Swift when he went from the Lions to the Eagles. He wasn't listed in preseason as the top dog. As a matter of fact, I think Kenneth Gainwell and someone else was ahead of him. The whole point I'm making is DeAndre Swift was supposed to be the hot shit when he was on the Lions, and it never happened because he kept having these nagging little injuries and stuff. And then he goes to the Eagles, and he's like an afterthought. But guess what? He becomes the starter. He becomes what he was supposed to be in Detroit. So against your point, sometimes it does work out a little bit better. Now that he's going to another team, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I'm not sure where he landed on the list of fantasy performers from last year. I know he played well.
He could just be an aberration. I mean,
it might be.
He could be the one out of those 6 that does better.
The Eagles were one of the top running teams in the league the last 2 years. So we'll see. They had probably committee. They probably had the best offensive line. And, they lost Kelsey for this year, but last year he was there, and that means a lot. Like, the Bears, their offensive line is good, but they're still kind of young. They're not great. We'll see how it goes.
I think they're going to be much better than everybody's expecting.
Yeah, we'll see. But we have it now on tape, so we can run this back.
Yes. Awesome.
All right. And then we have QBs coming back from injury, because there was a lot of them. We've got Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Kyler Murray, and Anthony Richardson. We're not going to go too in depth on these guys, but how they come back from their injury, when they come back. Justin Herbert is hurt again with the plantar fascia. We'll see. We'll see how they come back. Aaron Rodgers is...
You got the Achilles boys,
right.
Rodgers
is like
Cousins.
40, what is he, 43, coming off an Achilles. Kirk is what, like 38, I
Anthony
think?
Richardson's a youngin'.
Right, he's a youngin'. He didn't even get time to develop last year before he got hurt. So we'll see. We'll see how these guys do. There's a lot of question marks when it comes to this fantasy year. We're going to have to weigh it all out.
Another point that I briefly touched upon before, quarterbacks coming back from injury, if like their ADP is going to show that all these guys, like Justin Herbert was like one of the top 3 quarterbacks drafted last year, and now he's not even he's like an afterthought. He's in the like double-digit rounds right now if he gets drafted at that. So you could see the point where people like
Justin Herbert's ADP is like the 11th round.
Yeah, if somebody gets injured, you can't forget what they used to do. Like, think about Kyler Murray. This is one of the main factors that I might and probably will keep him this year. He got injured 2 seasons ago mid-season, so his season numbers didn't look great because he didn't play. He played like quarter of a season, maybe a half a season. And then last year he came in halfway through the season. When he came in, the Cardinals were 1-8, and I think they were number 9 for the rest of the season when he came in. So you got to just remember that these guys may be injured and it may affect them for the rest of their career, but it also is potentially just an injury, and they don't all lose their talents just like that. So keep that in mind.
Now we're going to give you guys a little draft strategy, because it's basically what we've been talking about. We're going to go over this really quickly so you guys understand the different strategies that are popular in fantasy right now. So the most popular one is the 0 RB strategy.
Never been a fan.
It's just you avoid running backs early in the draft. You focus on elite wide receivers, tight ends, or even quarterbacks, and you find value in the later rounds for the running backs. This is best for PPR or leagues when the top tier running backs are already off the board. But it's risky because if you fail to find a productive running back later in the draft, then you're really shit out of
It
luck.
sucks to have shitty running backs options for later in the season. It sucks.
But running backs do get injured, so you have options through the waiver wire.
There's a ton of running backs that are not drafted that do very well.
So the opposite of that is the robust running back strategy. This is the complete opposite, where you draft 2 or 3 running backs in the first few rounds and you lock down the position. And then from there, you focus on the pass catchers. And, there's so many more wide receivers that are going to be viable plays this year that it gives you just more chances. You throw more darts at the board and you hope that it sticks. Then there's a balanced strategy where you just try to do a balanced draft.
Yeah.
You take a running back in 1, you take a wide receiver in 2, running back, tight end, quarterback, and you just make sure that you have a good balance. You're getting high tier players at all the positions instead of trying to rack up on one or the other.
And with that, you typically want to punt either the quarterback or tight end position, because if you're taking both your quarterback and tight end in the first 8 rounds or so, then you're going to lose on value with a lot of the running backs and receivers that need to be taken. So.
Yep. So a strategy is the late round QB strategy. That means that you don't draft a quarterback until the later rounds.
Like Mars,
you let all the top guys go, and then maybe you get 2 or 3 guys who, like I said before, Jared Goff. Maybe you take like Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, like one of those guys. One of those guys that's going to be starting and has some upside, but you're going to be able to get later.
Then you could stream your quarterback and your defense all year.
Now, you could also go the hero running back strategy, which means that you take your running back with your first pick,
McCaffrey,
but
Brees.
then you don't take a running back until the later rounds, right? So you get one running back who's top tier, and then you forget about it until maybe round 10 or something like that. Now, this is useful in the PPR formats, or when there's a steep drop-off in elite running backs, basically.
There always is.
Now, you could punt a position, like Brendan just said. Now, this is particularly helpful for us in our keeper league. If you're keeping 2 running backs, there's a good chance that you want to punt that position, because you already have 2 slots filled. If you're keeping two tight ends, you should punt the whole draft. There's no point in taking.
And you already scored 2 punt return touchdowns with those keepers, anyways. So. Rock and roll with it.
Then there's tier-based drafting where, first through maybe 4th round are just running backs and wide receivers. 5th through 8th are just tight ends and quarterbacks, stuff like that. You wait to take rookies until after the 13th round, stuff like that. And you have everyone set them up by tiers.
And you have everyone listed in tiers in each position. So.
And then you can just go best player available. You don't even pay attention to what positions you're lacking on or what position they play. You just take the best player on the board and you figure it out afterwards.
It's like auto drafting, except it won't give you a position that you need if you don't have a quarterback or something like that.
Right. And it won't draft a punter for you.
Right. Don't draft punters. Just a little bit of advice, guys.
Yeah.
Except for Babalu. Babalu and Scott draft punters.
So those are the best known draft strategies. Look into them more if you really want to know how they work. But think about them as we're coming up on the draft for what you think makes most sense for this draft year.
Yeah, man.
All right. Now let's talk about
3 and out. If you didn't get that, it's 3 and out.
These are players that, we don't really want to draft.
Yeah. Who are you not drafting?
Right? For me, I tend to stay away from guys who are coming off of injury, right? So that means that I missed out on Adrian Peterson's 2,000-yard season.
Brees Hall's last year.
Yeah, Brees Hall last year. I just, historically, the first year back is not usually a good year for guys, and so I'd rather wait till the year after. I lose some value, but I feel like it's too risky going after guys who were just injured.
Yeah, but unless it's Christian McCaffrey,
right? Well, yeah,
he was injured 2 years in a row.
I stayed away from C-Mac, and I played myself like that. Yeah,
and he came back with a vengeance.
Yes, he did.
I'll tell you, one of the untouchables for me would be any powerful Cowboys or Eagles. I play with my heart. I cannot root for a team that I cannot stand.
Oh, that's so typical.
It is, but at the same time, like I know most of the players in this league will pick up players from teams that they don't like. I just there's a bold line that I don't cross, and it's not like I haven't had Cowboys or Eagles in the past. Like if I was thinking about it leading up to the podcast, I was like, what Cowboy or Eagle would I take? And like I think the only one I can come up with is like Jake Ferguson from the Cowboys at the tight
wild.
end.
You wouldn't even take CeeDee Lamb.
Of course I wouldn't take CeeDee Lamb because I could take Jamar Chase or Tyreek Hill or somebody else that's of that capability, and I don't need to be like, yes, CD. I don't want to root for that asshole. Get out of here. Fuck that.
All right, so I'm gonna call this class of person the Gabe Davis.
Oh yeah, that was my next individual player. I hate Gabe Davis so much, bro.
These are the guys that like you start because they scored 40 points once, but they'll score 40 points 3 weeks out of the year. And then they'll score 0 points for the other 13
Gabe Davis
weeks.
scored more gooses than not last year. Screw Gabe Davis. And it's not. And I traded him before he even goosed many more times because I just don't like the guy. I don't know why. It's more of a bias thing again.
Yeah,
for me.
I mean, because he lost you a lot of games.
I
personally prefer.
He's stupid.
I personally prefer a guy who scores 170 points, averaging 10 points a week, than the guy who scores 170 points, scoring 20 points in 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Right, and then scores 0 the rest. Like I need the consistency, and then I'll have my outliers who might score 40 points as my higher drafted players. Like I just can't take the inconsistency.
Yeah, there's a couple more players that I think I would avoid in terms of specific players. That aren't on the Eagles or Cowboys. But a lot of them are actually being kept. It's funny because some keepers that you guys have chosen, like, I'm so, like, salty about it. Like, I would love to draft Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, why you got to keep him, man? You know what I mean?
Can't. He's not keeping Gibbs.
He is.
Is he? He's going to keep him for second round pick?
As of right now, he is. And, I mean, I'd rather draft him in the second round with my keepers. But then there's other players that like I really don't care to have Tank Dell on my team or sorry bro, or even Rashee Rice, like not having it, not a fan.
It's risky.
Not a fan. Or anyone that's on a team that has so much freaking firepower, like the Bears receivers, like those guys are all dope.
Yeah.
Especially Rome Odunze, like he's gonna be awesome.
Yep.
Keenan Allen and DJ Moore and even their tight ends.
Do they have Cole Kmet?
Yeah, they have Kmet, and they picked they got somebody else's tight end one, and I should have looked it up. I think it's Hollister or something like that. Somebody like that. But that's why I believe so strongly in DeAndre Swift. Like they're gonna move the ball, and it's all gonna freaking just feed DeAndre. I think he's gonna be great. But there should be many more players that
they picked
will
up
stay
Gerald
away from.
Everett.
Gerald Everett, even better.
Yeah.
So.
So those people, I also tend to stay away from RB committees, especially in the earlier rounds. And then in like a week to week rostering scenario, I might fade a guy who's going up against the top cornerback. Like when Stephon Gilmore won his Defensive Player of the Year, it did not make sense to start anyone against him. So, those guys like J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain, Marshawn Lattimore, those guys, like if someone's going up against them, if there's a receiver that's seeing all of them this year, might be worth looking at someone else.
Good point.
So now let's look at whose average draft position ADP is falling, because there is some stuff that's going on. Not a ton of people that we found, but Christian Kirk, right? He has to go against Brian Thomas and Gabe Davis. But we also don't know if Trevor Lawrence is really that guy, right? And that's 3 receivers who he's going to have to feed, not to mention Travis Etienne is a really good receiving back. They've got Evan Engram. Like, that's just a lot of mouths to feed.
And I felt like it was the same situation last year where you couldn't tell who the Jaguars' number one was, and then after week 1, Calvin Ridley had like 2 touchdowns, like 150 yards.
It ended up
and
being
Kirk. It was Kirk.
It ended up being
But
Kirk and Zay Jones.
Kirk's week 1, he had like 1.4 fantasy points in a PPR, and it was like,
horrible.
and I remember Colin drafted him, and he was like,
did he?
yeah, and he was like, oh, dude, Kirk's definitely gonna be the number one. And then he actually turned out he held on to him. Luckily, he wasn't like
So,
man, I'm dropping him right away. You know?
Brendan loves this guy, but I'm not so sure. DeAndre Swift.
I
It's
should have
mostly
kept it quiet.
It's mostly because Khalil Herbert. He's been playing really well this offseason. There's a good chance that they're going to be splitting reps, and that makes it tough for Swift to be a top running back.
Khalil Herbert's good, but he only saw preseason action because he's not going to see too much more action this season. Dude.
Yeah, we'll
DeAndre
see.
Swift, baby, as long as he stays healthy.
So this guy's an obvious one. Kadarius Toney. He used to be on a team. Now he's not on a team.
This guy is about as interesting as Odell Beckham Jr. right now. Just like whatever, dude.
I don't know. Odell's
Whatever.
got more than he does.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
whack.
he excited fantasy owners a couple times during his career when he was a rookie, when he went to the Chiefs, but then he got cut. And if you can't make it work with Mahomie, then I'm sorry, man.
Dude, he dropped some of the worst freaking balls I've ever seen. He dropped so many passes this year that like cost them, I think, a game in a couple cases. He's just, I don't know, man. I'm not a big fan. That's somebody I won't be touching.
This is the guy I want to mention because this is tragic, but I think it's important to bring it up. The rookie Ricky Pearsall. Now his ADP already fell when the team agreed to an extension with Brendan Ayuk, but he just got shot in the chest yesterday. So all prayers out to him. Luckily for him, he was released from the hospital today, so it looks like he's going to make a full recovery. He might not miss that much time in the regular season, but it starts in a week, so we'll see how his recovery goes. But for obvious reasons, his ADP has taken a tumble.
Why is this such a common thing? Players getting shot. Like Tank Dell got shot a few months ago. He got shot. Brian Robinson got shot in the preseason 2 years ago for Washington, and freaking came out and nailed it.
I feel like gun laws around the country have gotten super lax, so there's a lot more people with guns. And like Ricky was apparently he was like a 14-year-old who I think tried to rob
17.
him.
It was
17.
Yeah, 17, and he just did an autograph signing or whatever.
Yeah,
so
it was like a teenager. So it's like
they say it's not clear if he knew,
can
but
get guns, then teenagers tend to make bad decisions. So.
Sean Denny, he could download a gun and print it for you if you wanted, which is so ridiculous. I mean, not Sean. I know Sean's not printing guns. I know he's like super against guns, but he does have a 3D printer, and I know that they're called ghost guns. You can print them. Yeah,
enough.
But it's fantasy related now.
That's Sean's fantasy life.
Okay, and then 2 other players I do want to mention in ADP's dropping. Are, of course, from off-season incidents. Rashee Rice, we've already kind of discussed that. We'll see what the league says. He did knock out a photographer or something and settled outside of court, but that doesn't mean the NFL is not going to rule on that. And then he had that supercar collision. Ridiculous. Thank God nobody was hurt. But we'll see what happens with him. I doubt he's going to get
it probably won't come down this year.
Yeah, it might not. Maybe
like Alvin Kamara had to wait 18 months for his suspension.
That's true.
They usually wait until the court case has run its course,
and he
doesn't even have like a preliminary court date yet. So his 2024-25 is probably fine.
But if they separate the incidents because the other one's closed,
they won't. They're gonna look at it all together.
Now the other one I want to talk about, and I think this is even worse, is Jordan Addison, because Jordan Addison got a DUI a few months ago. People get DUIs. It's not smart to drink and drive. If you've done it before, I've done it before, it's stupid. But this happened at the worst possible time. 2 weeks prior to Jordan Addison's DUI, his rookie teammate,
Kyrie Jackson, I believe.
Yeah, and 2 of his college teammates were killed in an accident with a drunk driver. They were racing with a girl who was driving, I think, a Dodge Durango, and their Charger hit some tree trunks, and they all died. I
don't think they were racing with her. I think she was just.
I think they were. I think they knew each other.
Let's not. I don't.
Oh yeah.
Let's
Okay.
not say things
we won't. Yeah. We don't. Of course, we're not gonna. The person that crashed into them
crashed into them
was drunk. He died. then his teammate 2 weeks later gets a DUI. Think about how hard the hammer's coming down on that dude.
Not very smart.
Not smart at all. So yeah, ADP dropping. Those players will not be drafted by me. Pascal's keeping Rashi though.
Maybe. I very well might.
Oh man.
Okay. So, so just make sure you're keeping an eye on what's going on with these guys. That's why we draft at the end of the season, so that all of the bullshit can happen already. Injuries, off-field stuff, and we see where everyone's at, and we can make the most informed decision.
Very true.
And now, time for freshman football. So, we want to highlight the top freshmen, the top rookies coming into the league. Every week, we will talk about one of these guys, and we'll also talk about the guys who we didn't really know were going to pop before the season started.
Obviously, later in the season, I think.
And we just want to make sure everyone knows like who's doing what and who's available.
Yeah, we want to talk about their college careers, their outrageous stats, big games, awards they've made, and then obviously the draft outlook. But since we're going to be starting this into the season, we'll also be able to have some NFL stats that we can kind of review as well. So it'll be pretty cool to see how they're doing, see how they're going to do. And, we're also going to make guesses on where they end up, like wide receiver what? Like Malik Neighbors will be wide receiver what? And who's going to be the offensive rookie of the year? So,
all right. So the top 10 rookies by ADP are Marvin Harrison going in the 2nd, Malik Neighbors going in the 5th, Xavier Worthy going in the 8th, Keon Coleman going in the 9th, Rome Odunze going in the 9th, Lad McConkey going in the 9th, Jaden Daniels going in the 9th, Trey Benson, the running back from Arizona, going in the 11th, Blake Corum from the Rams going in the 11th, and Brian Thomas Jr. from the Jaguars going in the 11th. Now, the honorable mentions are Caleb Williams going in the towards the beginning of the 11th, Brock Bowers, who's going about 11th or 12th, and Ricky Pearsall, who's going in the 17th.
And then we'll also probably delve into Bo Nix. If Jonathan Brooks does see the field back from his injury, he should be one of the, if not the best running back in this class.
If Drake may start some games this season, we'll talk about him. And anyone else who just pops off, any other rookie who pops off during the season.
I can tell you who we're not going to talk about, though. J.J. Taylor. J.J. Taylor?
J.J. Taylor, the running back?
J.J.
McCarthy.
J.J. McCarthy Taylor.
I'm like, J.J. Taylor, the Patriots running back. How do you know about him?
Well, we're not going to talk about J.J. Taylor because he doesn't exist. Apparently, he does exist. I knew Pascal would mention some obscure Patriots player in this freaking episode. I actually knew that was
funny enough, it wasn't me who mentioned him. It was you.
You put the title on him.
Yeah. But yeah, so next, or not next week, but next episode, we'll be going over Maserati Marvin Harrison, and we'll just let you know a little bit about him, about his father.
Marvin Harrison. Love him.
Yuck.
Awesome. What do you mean yuck?
Can't
awesome.
stand him. Fucking Colts. Peyton Manning, Tony Dungy.
Wow. You had your own dynasty. Calm down. And we're going to give you guys a little bit of little precursor. We have our offensive rookie of the year predictions every week.
So
we're not doing that every week.
No, we're not.
Jesus. We're going to record that, though. I'm going to just play it back.
All right. So you want to go first, or?
Yeah, you know what? I'll go first.
Because I already know who you got.
I know everybody already knows who I got. Because, I'm a homebody. And my baby, Malik Neighbors, will be the offensive rookie of the year. And he will make everybody forget about how bad Daniel Jones is in your mind. All right? He's not that bad, dude. He's Danny Nichols right now. Let him get the dimes back. He'll get the dimes back in a few weeks. Watch.
Honestly, like, Malik Neighbors is not a bad choice because who else did they have to throw the ball to? Nobody.
I don't have a cricket sound on the soundboard. So.
Right. As we get more sophisticated, we'll get the crickets. But like, there's no one else to throw the ball to. They have no running back.
Hey, whoa. All right, hold on. My pick is Malik Neighbors because he's going to be outstanding. Devin Singletary is a running back.
He is.
He's going to do good.
He played all right.
And I think the Giants will be good, especially with the defense, the potent defense.
You better hope they're not. You better hope that they don't have to trade up for a quarterback next year.
No, they won't. They'll just pick up Dak on a free agency deal.
Good luck with that.
Or Daniel Jones will be worth keeping. We'll see. Stay tuned, everyone. Stay tuned. Malik Neighbors, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Who you got?
All right, so it's so easy to go with like Caleb or even like Jaden, like because quarterbacks win everything.
It's probably the highest probability as well.
I'm not going to go with one of those guys.
Oh yeah, are you going to go with J.J. Taylor, the fucking Patriots running back that no one knows about?
Listen, I know about him, and his mom knows about him. But no,
Can I guess before?
Go for it.
Is it a receiver?
Yes.
Rome Odunze.
No.
No?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
I think that if it's not a quarterback, that Offensive Rookie of the Year will be Xavier Worthy.
Because Rashee Rice is going to get suspended.
No, I mean, so Xavier Worthy was one of my favorite wide receivers in this draft.
He is really good.
And to me, he's like a mix between Zay Flowers and John Ross, right? So he has the outstanding speed of John Ross, but he actually knows how to play wide receiver like Zay Flowers, right? And so combining those two and putting him with Mahomes, oh my God, like that is a problem. Now, he's also skinnier than your smallest cat. So if anyone watched any of the training camp videos, you saw him get absolutely destroyed off of the line. But with Andy Reid, there's a good chance he won't have to face any press man.
Yeah.
He'll just be running off the line. So I think there's a good chance that Xavier Worthy ends up O'Roy.
Okay, cool. So I got Neighbors, you got Worthy.
Yep.
2 worthy picks.
Now, but we said before we started this that we are free to change our O'Roy predictions throughout the weeks, depending on what happens.
I think up till maybe week 10, we should have to lock it in at that point. We could keep changing it. Whatever, it's fine. Whatever.
We'll see. All right. Now, the next segment is
Parallel Universe.
All right. So this segment is something fun that we thought we would bring in. This is really Brendan's idea. I'm not even going to take any credit for it. So I'm going to let him explain it to you.
Yeah, so Parallel Universe, right? Like, we're talking about our fantasy league. Okay, so the 12 people in our league will be excited to hear this podcast throughout the season because, it has to do with you. But have you ever talked to somebody and, like, they're talking about their fantasy league and you lose interest real fast and it's like, shit, you know what? I learned not to tell people about my fantasy-specific league if we're having a conversation because people will lose interest. Now,
hold on. Are you saying we're going to do a segment that's going to make people lose interest?
No, actually, the reverse of it. We're going to do a segment that's going to gather more interest from others while also making it interesting for the people who are already interested, right? So basically, a parallel universe, we're going to take looks at other fantasy leagues that we are either a part of or...
There is no other fantasy league.
That's true. Put it in the air is the only fantasy league. So I started a fantasy league with my family 2 years ago. We've had 2 full seasons.
Is that why you don't talk to your family anymore?
It's called The Family League, and that's the only time I talk to my family in the Family League chat.
Understandable.
So with this being my league that I created, a lot of the rules and everything, it's like pretty much the same exact stuff. It's PPR, 12 team, all the same rules pretty much. We're not doing keepers, so that'll be a little bit of a difference. But we're going to just take a quick dive into what's going on in The Family League. Or... in Jay's league,
right? Or I'm on Twitter way too much, and so if I see something that I find interesting, maybe I'll bring it over and we'll talk about it.
For sure, we're not gonna just leave it to one league. We're gonna kind of just jump into other universes,
And you guys, if you guys see anything, like send it over to us.
Definitely,
let us know.
Definitely.
And if we think it's interesting enough, and you're not a dumbass, then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to get some more listeners on our podcast. So we have a little bit more than a 12-person audience, actually 10-person audience, actually 12, because we'll probably listen to this. I think I'm going to listen.
I like hearing my own voice.
And it's cool. It's gonna be fun to kind of give you an idea of what's going on in other leagues, and you know some of the people that are in them. And Jay's league, we could also jump in there, so we could
talk about the idiocy behind the defensive player.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The IDP. I can't stand it. And then have 2 platforms to talk shit about Aggie. Oh wait, no, Aggie's not in that league anywhere. But
we can talk shit about Jay though.
Yeah, but well, his team's usually pretty terrible.
Exactly. I mean, it's easy. It's low hanging fruit.
Apparently, he won a fantasy championship before we were actually on record. I
don't believe it. I mean, if it's not there on paper, sorry, bro.
He has as many wins as you do. Damn, low blow.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah, guys. So we'll jump into that briefly. This is much longer than we've expected, but that's fine because there's a lot of information.
Way much longer than any of the subsequent episodes will be.
Yeah. It'll be a much more quick and moving.
Ooh, did you rub my hand?
We just touched hands at the same time. So yeah, that'll bring us down to our final segment of this podcast. The Doghouse. What's up, guys? We're talking about the Doghouse. This will be a recurring weekly segment where we put one of you in the Doghouse for many reasons or just one reason.
But all of them shitty.
Yes, shitty. There's no air conditioner in the summer and there's no heater in the winter.
That's right.
You're in the Doghouse sitting in your shit and piss and you'd be lucky to get a bowl of water.
Right, but you put yourself there.
Yeah, you did put yourself there.
All right, so who you got for the Doghouse?
Look, I've planned this, so I want to go second. We haven't shared this with each other, so I'm gonna put you on the spot so you could put your Doghouse player up first, unless you want.
All right, so I didn't want to do this.
Okay.
You know, I really love all of our co-conspirators in this league of ours.
He was against this segment when I brought it up to him, but I felt so strongly about the person that I have in the Doghouse that I need to make this happen.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
Disclaimer. I love you. Colin McCree.
Ooh. Right.
You are in the Doghouse.
Doghouse.
And why?
Why is Colin in the Doghouse?
Because here we are 3 years later, and your parents are still disappointed in you.
Oh, shit. You're an asshole. You know he's going to be pissed. He just hit stop. He's not even going to get to hear my Doghouse pick.
This is going to live forever on the internet. Colin, stop disappointing your parents.
Yo, man.
They love you very much.
He's pulling some season 10 shit talking right now.
When I was speaking to your father, he said, please make sure my son makes it out of this alive. And all I could say was, I can't promise you anything. And he just shook his head and sighed and walked away. The disappointment is real, Colin. Step it up. Do better. Like Joey Swole.
Yeah, I mean,
you're in my Doghouse.
I mean, shoot, man. Damn. That's a tough one. You know, I don't want to add the gas to the fire, but in 2018 when I faced Colin in the championship, his dad and me were texting, and he said, "Could you please just let him have this one?"
Oh shit!
And I said, "Sir, I cannot do that."
That's also why you're in the Doghouse. You got your parents fighting your battles for you.
Oh shit! All right.
Wow.
I thought that my Doghouse pick was gonna be pissed off, but I think your Doghouse pick is gonna be a little bit more pissed off than it. All right,
great.
So, all right, guys. Without further ado, my Doghouse pick comes with his own dog. All right. Now, my Doghouse pick is gonna be Aggerald Antoine.
Whoa, Aggie.
Aggie. Everybody gets along with Aggie, right? What? Not with that.
Apparently not everyone.
Well, not everyone, but let me just tell you, man. The reason, Aggie, that you're in my freaking Doghouse is because you have the most uncreative, super ridiculous, stupid ass, childish, foolish ass name, fantasy football name,
I fucks your mom.
and no picture to go with it? Come on, man. It's like, I mean, I've seen freaking AI do better with their eyes closed.
Come on, Aguirre.
Because they don't have eyes.
Come on, man.
And,
what are you doing?
And you don't fucks any of our moms.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
And it would be weird if you did.
If you did, I'd understand the name.
I don't think our mothers are very attractive.
But come on, man. Can you please just change your name? If you don't, guess what, bro? You're in my doghouse all season. I'm going to tear this shit up. Every week that you lose, I'm going to freaking put some salt on the wound. And yo, don't worry. You come with your own dog because guess what? Sitting outside the doghouse, tied to the pole with a chain, is your buddy Scott.
Whoa.
Because the name fuckers is just even less creative. I mean, Scott, come on, bro. You're a creative dude. You're a fun guy. You know what you're doing. At least put a city or a state or a region in front of it.
The Ansonia fuckers?
Yeah, he lives in Ansonia. The Ansonia fuckers. I'd be cool with that. I'd lay off.
The CT fucker?
Yeah, like the Northeast fuckers. The East Coast fuckers.
Right?
But don't take that because the East Coast virus, we can't play in the same region, you know.
What about like the New England fuckers?
That's not really a location, so maybe
Shut
the
up,
Massachusetts. But yo, for real though, Aggie, you're the man. But dude, your team name is whack.
Guys,
Scott, your team name is boring. Let's just get a little more creative, guys.
Just keep this in mind. Marvellis joined the league like halfway through this shit, and he's already changed his name.
Yeah,
put some thought into it.
Yeah, and and Babalu, like I know.
What about like Scott Pilgrim Saves Fantasy?
Yeah, or like Aguirre Antoine Team. Like that's better. That's better.
Yo, that's
like
foul.
Can we just please just please put some effort into that shit. And anybody who doesn't have a profile picture like Frank, Aggie, guys, just put something in the damn thumbnail. This isn't a fantasy league that you're drafting and playing against a bunch of robots. Like
I get sad when I look at your picture and all I see is an NFL helmet.
Yeah, and it's like
it seems like you don't care.
Yeah, it seems like you're not into this.
Do you love us?
Are you into this?
Are you
moving forward with us? Tell me now, because it'll hurt less later.
Or forever hold your peace.
Yeah. Forever change your damn name, dude.
God damn it.
Or you're staying in the damn doghouse and I'm shoveling shit in there every freaking time I walk by. All right? Anyways.
All right. Well, I think that's it, Brendan. I think we did this fucking podcast.
No shit. Damn.
Yeah. How long is it?
It's probably like 2 hours.
2 hours?
2 hours.
Holy shit.
Dude,
no one's listening to
and
this
we
shit.
had to,
There's
we had to turn the AC off because that shit was too loud.
I'm
and I
hot as
have
balls.
so many sweat balls dripping down my face.
How many sweat? I'm not. Next time. We'll talk about your sweat balls next time.
Look. I'm not talking about the balls dripping down Aggie and Scott's face. I'm talking about sweat.
Aren't those your balls also? And on
we'll talk
note,
about that
folks.
in the science podcast.
On that note. All right. Thanks for listening. Whoever listened, if you're still listening to this point, which I highly doubt any of you are.
We appreciate you guys.
Yeah,
man.
we really do. This was the Put It in the Air podcast. And
remember to,
before you draft, to put it in the air.
We'll catch you guys next time.
Signing off.
This is the Put It in the Air podcast.